Do you think they are all asleep now? Sapphire whispered quietly into Maiko's ear. They both agreed they needed to talk amongst themselves about everything Tom had told them. They couldn't very well during the day, after all. So the privacy of night would have to do, or hopeful privacy at least. It seemed to have worked well enough last time. There was no reply, then came a snore. Saph rolled her eyes and poked at him a little. Then a little harder. Then with the tip of a finger claw, and finally the corporal stirred. What? Everyone is sleeping, including you. You sure? I might be just as awake as Paulin, he replied, turning over in bed and laying his snout up against hers. Keeping his voice low, he whispered into her ear, This is cozy. Yes, keep whispering just in case. Her ears are good, but surely not that good, right? Well, unless she is standing outside the door. What? Do you think she knows? Not much. She asked me about the books that got lost. If she knows, she's not letting it on. But she might be playing. I doubt that. She isn't subtle. That's good, Maiko replied, to Sapphire's great relief. She honestly did not know where she might have Paulin. She didn't seem very good at lying, but of course, that could mean she was great at it. Yes, but Jackie knows something is up, but she thinks it's Tom going crazy again. I mean, is she wrong? No, but she doesn't know I'm the one helping him go crazy this time, Sapphire replied through gritted teeth. Probably best not to tell her then. I know. She thinks it's her fault. She hated how she'd let herself get roped into this, but she couldn't very well rat on Tom either. It wouldn't make anything better anyway. I mean, that is very helpful. If she thinks it's her, she won't suspect you, right? Dude, not okay. I mean, duh. This is what it's like being good at sneaky shit. You're gonna do things you ain't proud of, but for the right reasons. What? Like the recruits whose trust you gained just to tell on them to Victoria? Sapphire accused, thinking back to some of the tales of just how Maiko fit into the training cadre assigned to Baron. Something like that, yeah, Maiko admitted, a lot less upbeat than usual. That isn't what you're doing here, right? You aren't sending little letters home to Mama? Sending letters with what? Maiko chuckled hollowly. Didn't even get to send mail with that white dragon that showed. Would it be nice? Especially if it's all going to crash when spring hits. Wouldn't have minded sending a letter to Vulture. We used to write such letters before heading in, you know, in case you won but didn't get to enjoy it. Or I guess you could hope for a merciful enemy. I suppose that is a good idea, just in case. Dear Mum, if you get this, I died fighting the creatures that made the Dordner. Please pray for my soul. I don't think they are what's coming. Didn't they die out? Tom said they lost against the Dordner. Doesn't mean they are gone. If any of it was real. What if it's all a ploy and Jelena shows up with her Dordner master in spring and takes us all over? Why wouldn't she have done that last year? Not saying you are wrong, just, you know. She wanted to have something worth taking. She couldn't because the attacks on our keep had failed. Remember, she only sent Paulin after the attacks didn't work out. Do you really think she's... what? Setting us up? I have no idea. But if I were her, then I would wait until the factory was done. I think she knows Tom won't help her if he knows. Doesn't matter if you turn him, or slap him in some lich plate. Can he even be turned? He isn't one of us, he might be immune. I don't think that matters for lich plate, as long as it can hurt him. Doesn't it, make you insane, though, with all the pain? Sapphire questioned. She knew somewhat how lich plate worked, much like the witch crowns. If you resisted, it made you feel pain unlike anything you had ever experienced. So either you did what you were told right away, or you wound up little more than a psychotic animal who did as the armor commanded. Sure it does. Right. And you know what Tom is going to do, right? Resist and go mad. Yeah, he is quite good at both. Stubborn as a mountain goat. So there we are. She might just be playing us like a game piece. We have no idea. And we can't find out because, conveniently, we're sworn to secrecy. And she really doesn't want us asking any other Inquisitors now, does she? She did say she has allies. Maybe we could be allowed to ask someone. Someone she picked. It's the same problem all over. Though I am pretty sure she wouldn't want us telling them about her little trip north. They might believe her. Doesn't mean they know. And it doesn't really prove anything that they don't. Of course she kept it a secret. They would flay her alive otherwise. What the fuck are we supposed to do, man? Well, she gave you all this shit. If she holds up her end of not being a traitor, all's good. She doesn't, you blow her up with something Tom made. Seems easy enough. And what about you? You gonna be the one sneaking into her office with a bomb when the time comes? It is Victoria's sister. I'm a soldier. If that's what I have to do, then that's that, isn't it? Following orders, huh? Whose orders? Ours or Victoria's? Oh, don't put it like that, Saf, he replied, wrapping his arms around her back and pulling her a little closer. I have to do what Victoria says. I'm under her command, but if you want me to sneak in and blow up an Inquisitor, well, I don't think the court-martial is much to worry about then. That wasn't quite what Sapphire had meant, but at least it was an answer. You know, it is starting to make sense who your parents are. You aren't afraid of dying like that? It means less time with you. Then again, I wouldn't have to wash any dishes either. Oh, you arsehole, Sapphire grumbled, pushing his grinning head away. Present aim! Rachuk roared, the ragtag line of guards reacting with confusion. Some shouldered their rifles, others took aim at the door leading to the landing platform. All in all, it reminded Tom of the home guard back home. 3 dudes who actually knew what they were doing, mixed in with a couple of LARPers and the dad army. No, it's present arms, Tom corrected with a chuckle. Any sergeant worth their salt would be chewing out every dumb fuck involved. To Tom, it just felt comforting. Just like home. It was hardly their fault. It wasn't exactly the drills they were used to. Rachuk gave him a doubtful look, then repeated, Present arms! After a few exchanged glances, everyone had their new rifles presented in more or less the same fashion. Tom stepped forward, raising his voice. These are our latest tools, and the last new tool we shall have for some time. When spring comes, work commences on the factory. The Huntresses have their shotguns, you have your rifles. I know you have some experience with their pellet-throwing counterparts, but these will put a Black Knight on his ass, or even give a dragon reason to worry. Even if you don't stick it in his ear, Jackie added loudly, and pointedly crossed her arms, looking for all the world a lot more like a drill sergeant than Tom. Yes, even if you don't do that. Now today, everyone will get to learn how it works, and how to take care of one, and how to use it. But only those of you in the guard who will be given the rifles get to do any real practice after this. We won't have the ammunition for more, and we won't have any till Jarrex wakes back up. The Huntresses will get their chances to do some more practice with the shotguns as soon as it's warm enough for a quick jaunt into the skies above the keep. So then, let us see the basic drill, shall we? He questioned, looking towards Rachuk. The captain nodded, taking a breath and bellowing out, Arms at foot! This one the guards knew well, and soon had the rifles lined up in order. If he was being honest, there wasn't a great deal of reason for them to be going through the drills in Tom's mind. They were already experienced soldiers. They could fight shoulder to shoulder or spread out in formation. But he did fear that some of them might not quite respect their new toys the way he wanted them to. He'd certainly seen that with the Dragonettes. It was hard to fear what just looked like a glorified pipe. But perhaps beating a bit of drill into them would help them see the guns as something else. Present arms! We should have the Huntresses lined up as well, have them compete, he realised, as he glanced off to the side where everyone without a rifle was watching on like a gaggle of kids. Except Adita and Lancaster, that is. They were busy working on the second article to be demonstrated today. Their second machine gun. Magically enhanced water cooling and anti-jam bolt assist. It didn't differ much from their first gun, but Tom hoped it would prove a bit more reliable. If it was, perhaps this would be Jarrex' new gun, with the old one going to a drill. Shoulder arms! He had wanted to put it off until they had the rifles sorted out. He was pretty sure something would still need fixing. The simple old rolling block design hid very few surprises, and it was a strong action. The powder was bound to make that a very useful feature, even in small straight-walled cartridges. According to his math, the regular round should hit harder than Tom's own gun, despite the smaller caliber. And the muzzle velocity should be comparable to modern neck-down cartridges, which was really the name of the game here, both for any hope of hitting targets in the air, but more importantly, to avoid the failure of his own rifle during the Battle of the Keep last year. They wanted to punch holes in whatever came their way, and this seemed like the way to do it. Ready arms! He couldn't help but ponder how different things would have gone if he'd just been able to put that bastard down in the grand hall while he was monologuing. Well, with these new puppies, they could. And they already had 4 of them ready to go. A few more would follow before spring hit, even if any issues also needed to get sorted by then. But if they couldn't hit a target, that would all be for naught. Hopefully Jarrix would wake up soon so they could get started. There wasn't much boom powder left, so ammunition would be very limited. Still, some had to be spent practicing. Take aim! Again, the group took aim at the far wall, this time nearly as one. Even if the height difference made it look a little less professional, the rifle was nearly as tall as Unkai after all. Then again, he was a short ass. Rachuk let them stand there, Tom stepping up to have a look. He was interested to see just how the smaller guards would handle a long and relatively heavy rifle. He'd certainly been conservative in the construction. Poor metals and the inconsistent powder meant fine margins of safety really weren't on the table. He grabbed the front of Unkai's gun and tried to pull the muzzle down a little. He stood firm, though naturally he was pulled off his imaginary target. To Tom's eye, the muzzles weren't wavering though, so that was good. The males were stockier, and the low gravity certainly helped with this part, even if it wouldn't do you any favours when it came to handling the recoil. Rifle at the ready, he called out, stepping out of the way as the guards brought the gun up to their chests, muzzles pointed to the ground. Load blank! Clicking and fumbling ensued as the rifles were cocked and breech blocks rolled back. Dummy rounds loaded in, and blocks brought back up. Take aim! The guns were brought up on target, and hammers were pulled back to full cock. Fire! Tom listened intently as he heard a couple of clicks, but not quite enough. Remain, he ordered, as he walked back up to inspect. Gun by gun he went ahead and pressed the trigger. All moved freely except for Unkai's. Hammer is half cocked, that means the gun is safe. You pull it back when you take aim. He didn't try to admonish the guy, but it was a teachable moment, and that was the point of today. Rachuk, take them through the firing door a few times, and you lot watch closely, he carried on, pointing to the spectators. You are next. Load! Rachuk called out, as Tom retreated to watch as well, folks paying more attention now that they had actually been told they would have to do it too soon enough. And the Keep's guards went through the motions of loading and firing a few times. They weren't quick yet, but that was something they had time to fix. Being able to hit anything was a larger concern. When he was satisfied the guys could run the basic drill competently, he called out, Rifle at foot! The guards answered well enough. Now, let's see them stripped and cleaned. For me first, then you get to teach everyone else how to do it. I know you've practiced, let's see it. They all exchanged glances without anyone saying anything, before finally Balathon spoke up. We only got one brass mallet. Right, the pins. And we didn't put one in the stock, cause why bother? I'll be right back. Shiva, would you mind? We need a few to help demonstrate and teach. I don't know why. I thought this thing would be more complicated, Sapphire noted, as the rifle parts lay strewn out on the table in front of them. It's even simpler than the shotgun. Makes you wonder why Tom didn't just do this with the shotguns as well. This thing only has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces inside it. Fengi pondered, as she tried to look down the barrel. It's just a tube. I can see light through it. I'm pretty sure you aren't supposed to do that, Heron noted, though without any great concern. It's like a rule or some shit. When the gun is assembled and able to fire, Jackie countered. She knew full well how their rifles worked, so Heron hadn't actually needed to do much teaching, which served him just fine. Now she has to check if there is anything in the barrel that isn't supposed to be there. No, it's just a tube, alright, with the funny pattern cut into it. Rifling, yes. Try to remember what it looks like. We're not quite sure how quickly they might wear out, but if it looks like that, sharp edges and all that, it should be fine. There has to be some more things inside, right? We just don't need to take them out, Fengi questioned, putting the gun down on the table and trying to have a look inside where the breech had come out. A little, but it's not much. They are dead simple. Though those two were bastards, Jackie explained. She pointed out the hammer and the breech block. That curve in the hammer has to be just right. Made a little jig for it and everything. Took like 10 tries before we got close enough. So, why didn't he do this with the shotguns? Fengi tried again, rightfully confused. Girl, I have no clue. I'm sure he'll talk your ears off if you ask. Please don't. He's already so stressed. Aren't we all? Sapphire sighed, giving Jackie a side glance. Yeah. Have you seen Adita? She isn't well, Fengi noted, looking over at where the artificer and Lancaster were still fussing over the machine gun. Apuma's alchemist scales were weighing out frost powder, and various tools and a can of oil were lying on the ground. She is a nervous wreck. At least this seems easy, so this goes in first, then that one. Then the 2 pins hammered in from that side, Jackie added helpfully. Try to put the pin in the hole it came from. It might fit a bit better. And be careful not to scratch the hammer, Sapphire joked, as she lined up the pin, reaching for the small hammer they were given as a teaching aid. That is like her favourite joke, Jackie chuckled. Don't scratch the brass mallet. Does she know more than one? Fengi asked, genuinely curious. Have you ever seen a blacksmith sew? There was a quick pause before Fengi worked out it was the opening to a joke. No. You should. It's riveting. Oh, the irony of that statement, Sapphire chuckled, shaking her head. It's better than the one about collecting the coal. She sucks at jokes, I swear. More like she blows like the bellows, Fengi added in with a snicker. Shh, she might hear you, girl, and then you'll be in for a hell of a time. Sapphire shushed, as Jackie chuckled along as well. Now that's a hammering. Jackie, you got your armour? Tom then called out across the hall. I think people have got this mostly worked out. Oh, right, sorry. I'll go get it. Could you close that up? Adita questioned, standing back from the gun and holding her hands together in front of her. Lancaster gave the artificer a quick, strange look, before placing in the belt and closing up the cover. Thank you. Tom did give her a glance as well. Normally one had to remind her that personal space existed when working on anything like this. It looks good. We'll have to see if it works. If it doesn't, at least I've got plate mail, Jackie chuckled, not seeming overly worried. This will be the first test fire of their second gun. Tom did hope it would be a lot more reliable, not to mention them having a fair bit of extra experience with backroom gun making now. Right, I think she is ready for our dance partner, Tom encouraged, giving Jackie a pat on her shoulder as she went to sit down behind the gun. You have your ears plugged, right? Yes, ma'am, Jackie replied snarkily, as she ratcheted the charging handle twice. Bit early there, Jackie. Open the door, Tom called out with a chuckle, as she sat ready behind the gun. With a creak and a fair bit more effort than normal, the door budged, and then with a bit of help from a few willing hands it started to winch upwards and outwards. Outside there was still snow, but the sun was shining, and a fair bit of water ran down the outside of the door, creating a dripping shower that glinted in the sunlight. Everyone stepped back, including Tom, as they enjoyed the sight of mostly blue skies for the first time in a long time. Spring is soon upon us. Whenever you are ready, Jackie. Ears were covered as Jackie brought the gun up on some imaginary target, and then she let it bark. The dripping water turned to mist and dispersed around the muzzle flash that shot out across the ground as the gun spoke. A 5-round burst rang out before Jackie stopped and looked over the gun, turning it to the side for a better look. Something... Before Tom could finish his question, she had straightened it up again and let loose another salvo, parting the waters once more with bursts of fire and noise. It was fucking loud, even worse now than it was mostly inside the room, as it fired. But it did 5 rounds more. It didn't sound consistent. It would cough and splutter every few rounds, but it kept cycling. The enchantments were working as intended. Tom could almost feel the relief in Adita and Lancaster, especially the artificer. Her shoulders sank and her head lolled. He almost feared he would have to catch her, but she remained standing. Jackie halted and let go, turning back to them as hands came away from ears. It's not very nice when it needs help, but it sure does work. Tom couldn't actually see her face, but he guessed she had a massive smile on. This would have been a dark day if it didn't work, but in the end, it did. That's good. We don't have the ammo to really get it hot, but we've got to try if it will keep running. Send the rest of the belt, 1 burst. Just let it chew. Ho ho ho! If you say so, Jackie replied, clearly wanting nothing more than to do exactly that. Fire at will! And the gun spoke once more, ears covered in a hurry as it hammered away, fireball after fireball spewing from the muzzle. Tom counted the rounds to start with, but he soon lost track. It was an awesome sight. A weapon that could match a dragon for sheer firepower, and they had 2 of them now. And if the idea to use the dragon to power it, rather than the gunner, bore fruit, then they could lay down death at will. A weapon of both war and fear. When the belt finally ran dry, there was silence. Smoke slowly rose from the muzzle. They all stood in awe for a moment. Then Jackie announced her opinion. "Fuck me airborne, this thing is awesome!" There was a chuckle or two as she let go and crawled around the side of the gun, removing one of her gauntlets and touching the barrel jacket. "It's like a bit warm, but that's it." Lancaster and Adita were soon up close inspecting the weapon as well, Adita keeping her distance a touch as Tom opened the cover and removed the now empty belt. "Beautiful bit of work, girls. Is everything in one piece?" he questioned towards Lancaster, as she was busy inspecting the enchantments. "I think so. No sign of cracking." It paid off to use the mix for armor. Less brittle, but a little less potent. "Seems plenty potent to me. It ain't nice at all when it does the thing with the cocking of the bolt," Jackie noted. Her breathing laboured, though that could just as easily be from sheer excitement. "Adita did teach me some things about how to do it much better than I had any hope of. Seems to have worked quite well." "I should say so as well," Tom agreed, feeling almost as relieved as he figured they were. One thing off the list. 50,000 to go, Jackie chuckled hollowly, before putting both her arms in the air. "This thing rules!"
"What in the devil is going on up there?" a familiar voice then called out, coming from outside.
"Jerix? Is that you?" Jackie shouted in reply, as folks started moving out onto the snow-covered platform, or rather up to the snow and icy waterfall, at which point most stopped. Jackie soldiered on out into the cold, as did Tom.
"Jackie? Are we under attack?"
the dragon shouted, voice carrying through the walls of the warehouse quite well. "No, we're just, testing. Yeah, testing."
"You had me bloody worried there. Will someone come let me out? I still can't move."
"Sure. Tom will be right down." Tom got out, before she turned to look at him, waving him along. "Come on, then. We need to get the rifles loaded up, don't we? And he needs to warm up."
"Ah, I see now."
Sapphire had followed on down. She had a feeling there might be work to be done. That, and she of course wanted to welcome back the young Blue. They hadn't expected him to be awake already, though the thaw had arrived. She did suppose that firing a machine gun overhead of a sleeping dragon wasn't entirely normal conditions either. They had found him awake but unable to move much at all, and so the plan was devised, just warm up the building. It was already thawing outside, so it shouldn't be too hard. What little floor space there was left was cleared, and a fire constructed. It wasn't very far to the piles of firewood from here, but pretty soon the dragonettes that had come down were huddled around the fire. "I think we need a bit more, Tom," Jackie called out, busy warming herself by the fire. "Could you go get some more firewood?" "Isn't it getting plenty smoky in here?" he replied, head buried in a box already, likely looking for something he thought they needed. "Good for dealing with pests in the beams. Just go get it, will you? It's still cold as hell out there," Jackie reinforced, not moving from the fire herself. "And wet," Redexy added, the young man currently busy wiping the dragon dry. A bit of condensation had formed, and while some of them had helped out to start with, Redexy had been left to deal with all the nooks and crannies. "Right, fine. I'll do it. We better not burn anything down," Tom relented, extracting himself from the box, as Zarko stood up. "If we manage to burn dirt, it shall be a first, but we may need to re-wet and re-stamp the floor onto the fire." Jackie chuckled, stamping a foot for emphasis.
"I will spit on it to put it out and step on it for good measure,"
Jarix rumbled contentedly. "If you do that, it's ice-cold baths all year," Redexy protested. Jarix chuckled contentedly, getting his head closer to the fire. He was laying as closely cold around the fire as he could manage. He was still cold and stiff, but little by little he had started to regain his mobility. With some luck, they would have him back in the greeting hall before nightfall.
"I am only joking. Got to have a little fun. Waking up from winter sucks."
"Don't we know it?" Sapphire agreed with a nod. Every joint creaks and you feel weak and helpless.
But now you get to warm up thanks to Tom's hard work just like the rest of us.
The door briefly opened as Zarko and Tom both left for more wood, soon to return. They all scooted away from the influx of cold air and huddled a little closer. Shown up by Zarko. Psst. Jackie, that's not a good look, Redexy joked as he clambered around. He is good with the cold. I am not. I said Zarko, not Tom. Everyone knows he's crazy. Well, she is helping heat up her own ride. I am already warm. Besides, he doesn't think so hard when carrying wood. At least I hope so, she replied, throwing a wistful glance at the door. Things went well today. I'm sure that will help, for everyone. Sapphire was quick to reassure. Even if we woke Jarix up by accident.
Of all the ways to wake up in the morning, I don't feel like doing it that way again. I thought I was about to get carved up while I couldn't even move.
Sorry about that, big guy. Everyone's been a bit on edge lately. I don't think anyone thought it would wake you up like that.
On edge? Why is that? The dragon questioned, blissfully unaware.
When no explanation was forthcoming, Sapphire took it upon herself to fill the dragon in. We have been having visions. Terrible visions. Terrible things from our pasts. Sapphire gave a glance to Jackie, who was staring intently into the fire. But some bits of hope, too. We think, well, how'd you put that? The gods themselves are trying to warn us. Or at the very least, a god is. So hey, we got the real heavy guns for backup now, Jackie added, without much joy, eyes still locked on the flames. Not to mention the second machine gun. I think you get that one. It seems better than the old one, Redexy said, in a more optimistic tone. Doesn't jam anywhere near as much, and it's got all the magics too.
Oh, that is good,
Jarrett concurred, nodding his head, though his eyes still looked at Sapphire with worry.
I suppose we shall have to give a darn good showing then. It would just be embarrassing otherwise.
Oh, but before that, they would very much like if you have a go on the press. You know, for making the little casings.
Oh, right.
The dragon sounded a lot less enthusiastic about that part. Just remember it's the price for all of it. Oh, right, and I wanted to ask, could Junior maybe train with us when spring comes? He's not very heavy, and he knows how the gun works.
Did you ask Zarko yet? I won't either then, the dragon replied with a smug grin, as Redex's smile grew.
Like that's ever going to work.